Coin TV, Channel 6, Portland, Vancouver.
Storm clouds over Somalia. American gunships heading back in to dust up a bully.
Attention commuters and everybody else who drives. The president considers a new plan for higher taxes on gasoline.
And Eye on America. Tonight, why some new mothers are driven to madness.
I was holding the baby. All of a sudden, I had these tremors. I don't know what to do. I don't know what it is.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. A violent new showdown is looming at this hour inside Somalia. U.S. military forces are preparing a massive strike against a Somali warlord who has in some ways been supported by Washington. This has been brewing ever since a murderous attack on UN peacekeepers last weekend. National security correspondent David Martin broke the story on this broadcast last night. He now has the very latest in this exclusive report from the Pentagon.
3 American AC-30 gunships, each one capable of pumping out 17,000 rounds per minute, are now in the African country of Djibouti, next door to Somalia, waiting orders to attack targets in Mogadishu. Gunships represent a quantum leap in firepower for the UN peacekeeping forces and their plans to launch a counterstrike against Mohammed Aidid, one of Somalia's leading warlords, the same man who once told Dan Rather American troops were welcome in his country.
So you intend to help the American troops?
Yes.
You intend to protect them insofar as you can?
Yes, we wanted to protect and we wanted to work together.
But now that most of the American troops are gone, Aidid has mounted a major challenge to the authority of the 18,000 UN peacekeepers left behind. His gunmen killed 23 Pakistani soldiers in an ambush over the weekend. UN officials insist Aidid cannot be allowed to get away with it, but they are worried their forces on the ground, including some 4,000 Americans, might be outgunned by Aidid's armed gang.
Those gunships are expected to begin operations tonight, which would be early morning in Somalia. The plan is to use them to knock out Aidid's weapons storage sites, not necessarily right away, but at the first chance they have of doing it without inflicting civilian casualties. That's the plan, but this is a UN operation, and the UN has not yet decided what it wants to do. One Pentagon official who is exasperated by the UN's decision said, only one thing sure, it's going to blow. Dan? David, 3 gunships doesn't sound like much. Is it enough?
Well, a 4th is on the way, so that'll be 2 flying at any one time, and compared to what the Somalis have, yeah, it's plenty.
David Martin live at the Pentagon. Thanks.
Before Operation Restore Hope in Somalia, there was Desert Storm in the Persian Gulf. Today, U.S. veterans of that war pleaded with Congress to do something about Desert Storm Syndrome, the mystery illness now plaguing thousands of Gulf War veterans. Pentagon correspondent Jim Stewart has some of their stories.
During that time, we started noticing the black oil was on our skin.
Army nurse Carol Piku was near the front lines for much of the Persian Gulf War. Out wall fires were fiercest, the smoke thickest. Within weeks, she was ill.
I couldn't control my urine. I couldn't control my bowels. This is the treatment that I've received through the military. I have to catheterize myself 5 times a day to urinate.
A parade of Desert Storm vets and their families described for Congress today something many are calling the war's mystery illness. Navy Reservist Tom Lane cited their common symptoms.
Loss of appetite, sleeplessness, short-term memory loss, depression, fatigue, extreme pain in my joints, night sweats, increased pulse rate.
The Pentagon is tracking the health of several thousand Desert Storm vets now, trying to see what effect the oil fires and smoke had and whether the uranium shells used by U.S. tanks kicked up radioactive dust. So far, it still doesn't have an answer.
We don't know what to call it because we don't know what it is.
Nor do they agree how many soldiers are affected, leaving the veterans and their families in anguish.
My husband feels that his country has deserted him. As the wife of a Desert Storm veteran, I am devastated.
There was a time shortly after the war that some Pentagon officials felt these complaints were ploys for more retirement pay. Pensionitis is how one official termed it. Today, they're not so certain. Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
150 Haitians with the AIDS virus will be allowed into the United States to make their case for political asylum. President Clinton indicated today he will not challenge a judge's order to release the refugees from detention at the Guantanamo Naval Base. But a White House spokesman said the case would be reviewed by the Justice Department and could be appealed at a later date.
There are already about 1 million people in this country infected with the AIDS virus, living in fear they will come down with the deadly disease, living in hope that medical researchers will come to their rescue. Health correspondent Dr. Bob Arnott tells us there is some progress to report tonight in the search for an AIDS vaccine.
It was the moment that many at the AIDS conference have been waiting for. Could the world-famous Salk, the man who ripped out polio nearly 40 years ago, now have a breakthrough on AIDS? Today, Salk released the one-year results of the vaccine to prevent the onset of full-blown AIDS when people are infected with HIV. Salk says the news is encouraging. Patients on the vaccine showed little increase in the amount of HIV in their systems.
It's taken now all these several years to get to this stage to see if it had an effect upon the amount of virus in the blood. And now that it has shown that, now we will find ways and means to optimize that effect.
Some critics say these results are not significant, but many researchers say vaccine therapy will become a big part of AIDS treatment because it may prevent the immune system from being overrun by the virus.
We hope that the vaccines will boost up antibodies and will boost up the activity of white blood cells to go out and kill the virus.
Back in the heartland of America, in the small town of Quincy, Illinois, Lori Shear thinks an AIDS vaccine may be her best and only hope.
Got it.
Lori is HIV positive. She's taking part in a trial of an experimental vaccine, hoping it will prevent full-blown AIDS, praying it will buy her more time with her 4 children. It's too late for Lori's husband, Tim, who is dying from AIDS, which he believes he got a blood transfusion. Now Lori's greatest fear is leaving her children without a mom or a dad.
My kids being alone. That worries me. And not being around when they graduate or when they get married or when they have kids, but I hope I will.
While the Shear family can only hope, most everyone here once again is disappointed that there have been no major breakthroughs. But there has been a big shift in strategy to develop new therapies like vaccines that can boost the immune system before it's too late. Dr. Bob Arnott, CBS News, at the International AIDS Conference in Berlin.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a changing of the guard in Los Angeles as voters decide on a new direction.
And a celebration of old and new as Japan welcomes a modern woman to an ancient world.
Now, Hart's long-term flea and tick protection is not just for white-collar dogs and cats.
Hart's Yummies?
The famous Hart's 2-in-1 flea and tick-killing collars now come in fabulous colors. So every dog and cat can feel comfortable with the powerful benefits of Hart's 2-in-1 protection. Protection that works for up to 5 months, wet or dry. Pets are jumping for joy wearing their 2-in-1 colored collars. Just ask any flea or tick. These are drop-dead colors.
If you're under a physician's care for high blood pressure, ulcers, or asthma, then your choice of a non-prescription pain reliever is especially important. For millions of people like you, the one doctors recommend most is Tylenol.
I knew something must be wrong. I was getting these sharp pains, and sometimes pressure and bloating. I'm glad I asked my doctor. He said it was gas, and recommended Mylanta Gas.
Mylanta Gas. It has the best medicine for gas.
President Clinton and key Democrats in the Senate are talking up a new deficit reduction plan tonight. Say goodbye to the so-called energy tax. Say hello to what they're calling the transportation tax. Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer tells us why a lot of lawmakers aren't rushing to get on board.
Just last month, the president had come to the Capitol to urge House Democrats to vote for raising taxes on energy, the so-called BTU tax. But with the White House now sending signals it won't fight for that tax in the Senate, many House Democrats who voted for it were understandably furious.
Certainly those of us who said we had to support this president no matter how distasteful the BTU tax was, it puts us in an embarrassing political position.
I think we've been left hanging out on the flank, and I must say I don't like it.
At the White House, the line was the president never said it was set in stone.
I think it was clear that when the package came out of the House, there would be changes in the Senate.
The reason, of course, is that energy state senators say the tax would break the back of an industry already severely depressed, and they're under heavy pressure back home to kill it.
Please call Senator John Breaux today and urge him to kill the BTU tax before it's too late.
And today, Senator Breaux, after a conference with top White House and Senate Democrats, came up with a new proposal, which would eliminate the BTU tax and replace it
with a broad-based energy transportation tax at a suggested figure of 7.3 cents a gallon.
In other words, a gas tax. The president was against such a tax in the campaign, but sources say it's again being considered seriously. And by this afternoon, the president himself was not ruling out that or anything else.
I don't know what's going to happen from here on in. And we have not agreed to anything or disagreed with anything.
In fact, our sources say the White House will support a tax on gasoline if that's what it takes to get this bill through the Senate. And more, that looks like what's going to be a part of a final deal, a tax on gasoline. Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol.
President Clinton moved quickly, trying to distance himself today from what happened in the Los Angeles mayor's race last night. The official White House spin, the race hinged on local issues. Still, the Democrat endorsed by President Clinton lost big time. As a result, Bill Lagatuda reports Los Angeles is getting its first Republican mayor in more than 30 years.
He is rich and white and Republican, a surprising choice to lead a city of mostly minorities. Or is he?
Together, we will make our city safe. Together, we will restore the economy.
Those two issues, crime and jobs, are what compelled most voters to choose multimillionaire first-time politician Richard Riordan over Democratic City Councilman Mike Wu. Wu may look more like the new L.A., but Riordan convinced voters Wu was just part of the old system, that it's time for change.
Make L.A. safe, because businesses are not going to want to come into a war zone.
Both Riordan and Wu fended off charges of racism, and though he managed an impressive rainbow of endorsements, in the end it was the vote from the overwhelmingly white parts of L.A. that won it for Riordan. But was it race or class?
Richard Riordan's voters tended to be upper-income voters. Michael Wu's voters tended to be lower-income voters.
Healing such divisions may be the toughest job facing Riordan or any big city mayor. In November, voters in New York will face a similar choice between a white law and order candidate, former U.S. Attorney Rudolph Giuliani, and the incumbent minority coalition mayor, David Dinkins. They may be looking west as L.A.'s self-proclaimed new era begins.
Together, we will return Los Angeles to being the greatest city on the planet Earth.
Riordan is a venture capitalist whose risks in business made him wealthy. The question for the next 4 years, can his management style bring L.A. the prosperity and peace it used to have? Bill Lagatuda, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Stay with us for much more CBS News, including the push to clean up the air you breathe up in the friendly skies.
Look out, America. The Choiceosaurus Sweepstakes is coming to Quality Inns, Hotels, Suites, and Resorts. You could win one of thousands of dinosaur prizes, or one of 7 weekly $50,000 giveaways. Just pick up an entry form at any participating hotel, and you could also win the grand prize. $1 million in cash. Call 1-800-4CHOICE because offers like this happen once every 60 million years.
It's only natural that children look to their parents for answers. So to help you explain why some things that may be fine for adults aren't right for children, Anheuser-Busch offers Family Talk. Free advice from professionals to use with your kids while they're still learning to be grown up. And their favorite teacher is you. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts.
You ever look at all the different ways plastic makes life better? Like these plastic helmets that help make it safer to take Sam here for a ride. And plastic insulation that keeps our homes warm, saves energy. But what about these plastic foam cups? Well, they save energy too, because they take less energy to make than many other disposable cups. And they keep sodas nice and cold. Right, Sam? To learn more, call this number for a free booklet and take another look at plastic.
Why does she need this disguise and this protection? Because she talked to the police. Drug Informer. An all-new 48 Hours tonight.
The deregulated airline industry has come up with another way to save money and boost profits. This time, they're not cutting jobs or in-flight meals. No, this time, they're cutting fresh air. Flight crews and passengers say it's enough to make you sick. Vicki Mabry has our report.
Ever feel sick after a long flight?
I'll get headaches and sinus problems.
And she's just a passenger. It's even worse for crew members like Patty Young, a flight attendant for 27 years.
I call aircraft cesspools of human waste.
Young claims the air on planes makes her sick.
When you're on an aircraft, obviously breathing, you breathe everybody's coughing, sneezing, there's sickness.
In the early 80s, flight attendants' health complaints caught the ear of Congress, which ordered a study of airplane air. That study suggested smoking may be the cause, so smoking was banned on domestic flights. But within the last 10 years, airlines have started pumping in less fresh air. It used to be all fresh. Now, on newer aircraft, it's about a 50-50 mix of fresh and recirculated air.
There is a cost involved, and the cost is coming out of the lungs of the passengers sitting in those seats and the flight attendants who have to work that flight.
The more air is recirculated, the less fuel is burned. And with so many airlines in serious financial straits, burning fuel is the same as burning money.
The percentages that they save are absolutely minute, but when this is added up across an airline through a whole year, it means a lot of dollars.
Complaints are few. United Airlines, the 15 million passengers who flew its friendly skies in the first quarter of this year, only 11 have complained. The Federal Aviation Administration says there's no confirmation that cabin air causes sickness.
It's very high-quality air. Certainly, if you compare it to the air in most buildings.
Flight attendants' unions are calling for more studies to determine the effects of recirculated air. And though the airlines are abiding by FAA guidelines, some say those guidelines need an upgrade. Vicki Mabry, CBS News, Dallas.
Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, Eye on America. How the blessed birth of a child can be the beginning of a nightmare.
My teeth are sensitive. They hurt.
That's a warning. That's why dentists choose Sensodyne to help stop the pain that can make you stop brushing, could lead even to tooth loss.
I got the warning. Then I got Sensodyne.
Trust Sensodyne, the dentist's choice for sensitive teeth.
To help relieve her heartburn, her antacid uses aluminum and magnesium. But his is Tums, and Tums has calcium.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Mary Clary thinks her zipper bags are the best and will never switch to Gladlock zipper bags.
That's right, never.
But, Mary Clary, what do you say we lock you in this phone booth here with either your bag filled with angry bees or a Gladlock bag filled with angry bees? You see that green chain seal there, Mary? That shows you the Gladlock bag is closed. Your bag doesn't have a green seal.
You know, change is good. I'll take the Gladlock zipper bag.
Just kidding, Mary. When it really counts, only Gladlock has the yellow and blue make green seal.
Everybody needs some.
$12 for every mile over the limit.
Everybody.
That's $300.
You can add fast, too.
When you need money fast,
Hello, Joan.
only Western Union can get it to 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close.
French 101.
Something in my heart just told me.
And biology 903.
Western Union, the fastest way to send money. And to send money by credit card from home. Call us at 1-800-CALL-CASH.
How would you like to play referee and make the call or do your work from home? Interactive television. We'll show you how it works tomorrow on CBS This Morning with Howard Smith and Paula Zahn.
Almost 5 months after the inauguration, President Clinton has finally chosen a new ambassador to Japan. He is former Vice President Walter Mondale. Mr. Clinton was reportedly eager to fill the post before next month's Superpower Economic Summit, which will be held this year in Tokyo.
Today in Tokyo, a former diplomat became the future Empress of Japan. It's a marriage that many hope will produce better understanding between Japan and the United States. But as our man in Tokyo, James Hattori, reports, the wedding itself was shrouded in mystery.
Japan celebrated its imperial future today. Crown Prince Naruhito and Princess Masako are the fresh new couple in the oldest living monarchy. Their solemn wedding, however, followed ancient tradition. Only a Shinto priestess and assistants witnessed the vows.
No outsiders really know the secret inner workings of the imperial court.
Behind palace walls, the crown prince and his new bride sealed their wedding vows with a succession of prayers, offerings, and sips of rice wine. Ceremonies mysterious to most Japanese and downright baffling to Westerners.
What is this thing called that's on top of his head?
Oliver and Barbara Oldman, among the bride's oldest and best friends from the U.S., came to Tokyo, visited her family, and didn't really expect to attend the wedding. They weren't the only ones who had to settle for a screen-side seat.
I think the most surprising thing to me is that the emperor and the empress couldn't be there.
That was by custom. The imperial newlyweds later paid a formal visit to the emperor and empress. Today it was all tradition. But some hope the American-educated princess will eventually choose activism over ceremony, perhaps to smooth U.S.-Japan relations.
It's going to be a bridge. She may be able to calm down the dialogue and get people talking to each other.
Recent polls here show great support to change the imperial family's role. Today's huge crowds and outpouring of emotion are a measure of the influence it wields.
People still respect the imperial family a lot. They are very special. They are special people.
And with new blood, they've raised expectations for new moral leadership in a country struggling to see its future. James Hattori, CBS News, Tokyo.
There's not a right or wrong answer with this, is there? You need some little gougons in here. You need some stuff, something. I mean, this is, it's just flags, darling. I'm afraid that people might get bored to tears. All right, it's fun. It is. It's got a, oomph. It does. It's got a crispiness. I like the simplicity of it.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
What's called cornflakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
What a flake. Was my joke.
This is a request from Oldsmobile to Honda. Please don't raise the price of your Accord DX anymore. Because every time you do, we have to change our Achiever commercials. So ixnay with the price increases. All this re-editing is getting expensive. It's your choice.
Headaches can affect you as differently as day and night. For daytime headaches, Anacin contains aspirin and caffeine. Caffeine enters the aspirin to work better on your headache, so you can work better. Anacin, daytime headache relief.
I was worried about surgery for my hemorrhoids. I was itching, and the burning was so painful. But my doctor said they weren't serious. I didn't need surgery, and to use Preparation H. She specifically said Preparation H by name. That's what I trust, and that's what I'll use.
Preparation H, trusted by millions to often help relieve the hemorrhoidal symptoms of itching, burning, and painful irritation for hours.
I feel great. I'm glad I trusted Preparation H.
Trust doctor-recommended Preparation H.
When I get gas, I may look like this, but I feel like this, painfully bloated with gas.
Gas-X has the power to relieve gas faster than antacids.
So I feel like me again.
Painful gas needs the power of Gas-X.
When you talk about happy occasions, the birth of a baby usually tops the list. In this country, it happens 8 times a minute. But for some mothers, the euphoric high soon gives way to a deep and overwhelming depression. Correspondent Richard Threlkeld reports on the illness and the cure in tonight's Eye on America.
Just look, a whole maternity ward full of blessed events. And yet there are women all over America who found that motherhood is anything but blessed.
I was holding the baby, all of a sudden I had these tremors. I don't know what to do. I don't know what it is.
It's just painful to get up and go through each day. You just think, I don't think I can do it anymore.
He was my son, and I knew I loved him. There was no joy in it because I just was so upset.
Okay, take one. Just one. It is a heart.
Soon after Brenda and Kevin's son Ben was born, Brenda became obsessed with terrible thoughts about him.
Horrible, violent kinds of, like ceiling fan, like I would be picking him up out of his crib and he would get caught in the ceiling fan. Just things that like made you sick in your stomach.
that just would flash like instantly.
I kept saying to her, you just have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and, come on, let's get it together. And I was a little skeptical at first, I guess.
But there was something really wrong with Brenda. She's a victim of postpartum depression, PPD, and it's serious. It's different from the brief so-called baby blues most new mothers experience. PPD is a physical, emotional disorder that typically starts later, lasts longer, and is far more serious. An estimated 15% of women suffer from it, and in extreme cases, it can literally make a new mother crazy. Dolores Paris went to pieces soon after her twins were born.
It's so unlike the normal you. I mean, you are just not yourself. It's almost like yourself is lost in there someplace and you just can't retrieve it.
I'd come down in the middle of the night and she'd be on the couch crying at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'd say, what's wrong? And she'd say, I don't know.
Often, doctors don't warn women about PPD, with the result that, as in the Paris' case, it can go undiagnosed for months. But they are living examples of the one good thing about PPD. It's curable.
These are treatable illnesses. The women and the families don't have to feel alone. These are very common and very treatable, and the prognosis is just excellent with treatment.
Treatable with drugs and counseling and group support sessions like this one.
Almost like I blamed him, almost like I resented him for making this happen to me.
You just need to understand that it's because you're on a medication or that you're going to therapy. You're not going to feel fantastic every day.
Come on, let's go change the diaper.
In the worst cases of PPD, mothers must be hospitalized to prevent them from hurting themselves or their babies. The Human Resources Institute in Boston is the only one in the country where PPD victims can stay with their babies to nurture the mother-baby bond during treatment.
They leave the hospital knowing their infant, feeling quite confident in taking this baby home because they have worked with this baby throughout the hospitalization.
Look at the flowers.
And?
So women don't have to suffer needlessly from PPD. There's help. What's necessary now is for more doctors to recognize PPD for what it is, a real threat to mother and child.
When a mother comes in and reports to her obstetrician, I'm really not doing so great, to really pay attention to that.
Want to hold Danny?
Okay, there you go.
A few days ago, Brenda gave birth to her second child, Daniel.
Can you say love you, baby brother?
She's already taken treatment to guard against another episode of PPD. So far, mother and son are doing just fine. In Pittsburgh, I'm Richard Threlkeld for Eye on America.
And that's part of our world tonight. Coming up on 48 Hours, something special, a look at this country's battle against drug thugs like you've never seen before. We'll take